Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching me. Hello, hello. My name's Andrew Estwick, and welcome to today's Go Live. Today, I'm going to be sitting down with another inspiring guest from our digital world, our digital business. But before that, let me introduce myself and tell you a little bit about myself. For those of you seeing me for the first time, like I said, my name is Andrew Estwick, and I'm here today to hopefully inspire at least one of you to take that first step to creating the life. What's going on here? Screen kind of cut off for a moment. A little bit about me. I immigrated from Canada to Canada from England about 22 years ago with my then wife and daughter. I faced a lot of challenges trying to find work because of the so-called Canadian experience. Despite my background as a computer technician, they said, you don't have Canadian experience, which doesn't make no sense to me, but that's another story. I had to get a job as a security guard just so that I could get into the system of having Canadian experience. So I struggled financially, living paycheck to paycheck, and ultimately accumulating debt. Now, things did gradually improve for me. I got a job as an audiovisual technician, then a supervisor, and eventually a project manager. But with the big title of project manager came the big stress. So there was a lot of stress. There was a lot of hours. Sometimes I was working 10, 11 hours a day. And it culminated with me having, it wasn't so much a breakdown, but it was a lot of stress. My marriage ended, and it was about the time my daughter was in her last couple of years of high school, and she expressed to me that she wanted to go to university. Now, I'm not one to crush her dreams. So I said to her, sure, we'll sort out something for you to go to university. And for those of you who have put their children through university or who are going to put their children through university or college, it is not cheap. I'll tell you that now, it is not cheap at all. I had no savings. I didn't budget for this, but I was determined not to let her down. So I took whatever measures I could, which was to sell things I didn't need. I maxed out my credit card, increased my line of credit. And right about then, I was hit with a critical illness. But this is how life works out for you. It just turned around for me. I was at home one day, sitting down, looking at Facebook, minding other people's business like you do, watching cat memes and stupidness like that. And I stumbled on an ad for a couple who had transformed their lives through an online business, paying off significant debt. And when I say significant debt, they had a debt of like $74,000, and they were gaining more time freedom. So I was inspired by this. I reached out to them. We talked. I signed up for the business, which is the online business, which I'm doing now. It's running smoothly, and it's bringing me closer to early retirement and a better future for my family. So if you find yourself in a similar position, or just curious about starting an online business, let's chat. Drop me a message. My contact details are going to be scrolling along the bottom, and we can have a talk. It could be the thing that changes your life. It could be the change that you are looking for. So without further delay, let me add to the stage my brother Jermaine. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, my brother. How are you doing this morning? Thank you so much for having me on with you.
I am doing great. I'm doing great. It was an honor to have you on air. I know you're a busy man. I've seen you up from morning doing ads already, drinking your coffee and having a chat. So I know you've been up for a while. So introduce yourself to the people and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. So again, thank you for having me on. My name is Jermaine Lewis. I am originally from Jamaica, currently living here in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. My wife Simone and I, we run this online business together. We have three boys. you know, um, I work as a heavy machine operator, so I still do my full-time job, but I run the online business on the side to supplement our income. And my wife, Simone, works from home, as a call center rep, and yeah, so that's a little bit more about our background, and yeah, just happy to be here, sharing our story, why we got started, in hopes that it will inspire your audience, your viewers,
Right.
who may be looking for a solution and opportunity, hopefully through my story and what I share, they will be inspired and find, if it's even something that, help them to make that decision to look at this online business. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. So you are, as you just said, you're a husband, you're a father, you're a hard-working, God-fearing man, you're a
Yes.
farmer because I see you and Simone there planting the
Yes.
callaloo out in the backyard.
Oh,
So
for sure. Yes.
so what made you start this online business, and in particular, why this particular online business?
Yeah, so interesting question, and thank you for that. So, our journey started in 2020, and the quick and short answer of that is we were not happy where we were financially.
Mhm.
We were not happy where we were financially. We were here, we were working, jobs, but just living from paycheck to paycheck, and
Right.
and then unfortunately, you can take this, however, maybe it's an unfortunate situation, but at the same time, it was a time for us to evaluate where we were financially. So I say unfortunately because one of our sons took sick in 2019 and was admitted in the hospital. And through
Right.
that whole experience, while we were in the hospital for a period of time, neither of us was working. And you all know what happens when you're not working.
Right.
There's no income coming in, right? And so,
Exactly.
we had some time to really evaluate where we were. We weren't really ready for an emergency, so whatever little savings we had set aside was just quickly used up, right? And we're grateful that we're a part of a community of friends, family who kind of rallied around us to support us and to help us through that difficult phase. But it was during that time, so unfortunately that happened, but fortunately it had us kind of reflected on where we were, and we said, hey, this is not looking good. We have been working
Right.
hard, right? We have no savings in terms of financial situation. In terms of emergency, we had nothing saved up, right? Something needed to change. Something needed to change. And so this was in 2019. Fast forward 1 year later, I stumbled upon an ad just like you as well, of a
Mhm.
couple sharing their story of how much they were in debt, right? And that seemed to be the story of most immigrants that leaves home and come abroad, in hopes of, finding, you know, um, the dream, right?
Most
And then
definitely,
they
yes.
realize that it's not all as they had maybe imagined it all to be. And so they find themselves working, but falling further behind, and so this couple's story, they were in $86,000 worth of debt,
Mhm.
and they shared how through doing the online business they were able to come out of debt. And so I saw that as an opportunity, as a solution. I said, hey, if this can work for them, maybe this is the
Yes.
solution that I have been looking for. Maybe it can work for us as well. And so fast forward, I checked it out, liked what I saw, jumped on board, started our online business, and has never looked back.
Yeah. Very inspiring. Very, very inspiring altogether. Um, as you say, this is something you could do with your day job. You don't need to be quitting your day job to do this business. Um, Obviously, when you get further along, you can say to yourself, I'm in a position now where I can quit my
Yes.
day job. But for now, let me just do this part time. You're always going to get people who say they don't have the time. And I totally understand. We all have busy lives, but if you want something bad enough, if you want change, you will find the time. you will definitely find a time to
Yes.
do it. Look, you will find a time, or people out there will find a time to sit down and surf the internet, whether it's Facebook,
Yes.
Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever the case may be. You'll sit down there, you'll watch Netflix, YouTube, Prime Video. You'll find a time to do that, but you won't find a time to invest in yourself. So, as I always say to people, my 5 little words of nothing changes if nothing changes. So, you
Yes.
gotta be prepared to make the change for yourself and
Yes.
improve your life. Now, I have been uh, I have been watching you and following you for a year, a couple of years now, 2 3 years. You know, people might call it stalking, but it's not. It's finding inspiration from others. I watch you. I
Yes.
watch Agapi. I watch Pauline and many more. Dave and Roxanne. When I first started watching you, um, your style of advertising was different back then. You were still doing the attractive the marketing like we do, but it was different. It was more speaky spokey the way you was back then. And I'd tune in and I'd watch you all the time. And I'd say, okay, brother Jermaine's coming on here. Let me see what you have to say. You come on, you say a little piece. And I say, okay, good, gone. And then one day I tuned in and I see you come on and you was in the car going to do your ad in the car.
Yes.
And you was vexed. I don't know what was going on. And you came out in full Jamaican patois. And I said to myself, but who upset Jermaine now? So who upset him? And I couldn't understand what was going on. But I like the way you was going with this. And you were still trying to attract the masses, but now you shifted or pivoted to the Caribbean
Yes.
community. And to me, that ad blew up and it took off for you. So what made
Yes.
you come out and do your ad in the Jamaican patois?
Yes. It was one of those days. It was one of those days I had finished work. And usually how it works is I would finish work and, you know, I would just wait for my kids because my kids' school are not too far from where I work. And so, I finished and I had about a half an hour wait time.
Right,
So I drove to their school and I sat there in the car. And while I was waiting for them, I decided to just let me just communicate in a way that fellow Jamaicans could understand.
right.
And so I turned on the camera and I just begin to talk. And I just begin to talk in a way, patois, that was easily relatable. If you were Jamaican, you was like, yeah, who is this person? Let me listen to them. And that was
Yeah,
exactly the feedback that I got. People just like yourself had been following me for a while, listening to me speak spooky, and did nothing with it. But after I spoke patois, they get it. They understand.
yes,
They were like, this is a brother. This is a brother. He's from where we're coming from. We understand this language. We understand this tone. If he's saying it like this, we believe him, right? And
right.
so it was a way for me to say, to bring my listeners, on the same playing field, level the playing field, so to speak, and said, hey, from one Jamaican brother to another,
Yes,
I'm telling you the truth, because a lot of them had the skepticism of wondering, is this thing really working? You see, they have been hearing a lot of ads and it was the same thing. So they're wondering, is this thing scripted, right? So when I had
yes,
the opportunity to kind of pull back and just give it to them in a language or in a way or in a tone, that they could easily recognize, they said, hey, this guy is a brother. And if he's saying it, I believe it. Let me reach out to him. And so, that was what, kind of happened there, and that ad kind of took off, right? It went viral, literally went
yes.
viral.
It did. It did.
People,
I'd say that
yeah,
that blew up for you after I saw that. Um,
yes,
where I live right now is a small town called Tilsonburg in Ontario, and every year in our town, because it was a farming town originally, it still is a
yes,
farming town. And every year we get the seasonal workers come in, or the farm workers, as they call them. And they come in from
Yes.
South America and the Caribbean to work on the farms. So one
Yes.
day I'm in the dollar store, and I'm just about to pay off, go to the till to pay, and I see these three guys coming, and I know they're Jamaican. I hear them before they even come into the store, so I know there was three Jamaican guys
Yes.
come in. When they come in now, they went straight up to the cashier, and one of them said, "I would an eagle and tread there." And the cashier look at them, and she was like dumbfounded because she didn't understand what they said. So the man said it again, "I would an eagle and tread there." And she's now looking at me because she don't understand, and she needs backup, and she's in desperation. I said, "Well, they're asking for some needle and thread." And she goes, "Oh, okay. Well, if you go down aisle 5, we got some needles down there, and I don't even know if we got the thread." So my point to this is, because people are going to say, "Wait, where you going off on a tangent?" Is my point to this is, in our community we have like over 250,000 members in our community, and there's over 25 different languages. So if you speak English is your mother tongue, or it's not your mother tongue, and your mother tongue could be French, German, Spanish, Italian. We've got Arabic in there. Don't be deterred and say, "Well, I don't want to join this business because I don't have my people out there, and nobody ain't gonna
Yes.
understand. And English is not my first language." We have a step-by-step video-based training, which is translated into several of those languages, which I said before. So if language you think is going to be a barrier for you, don't let that be a barrier. Come in and explore, and
Yes.
you never know, your language could be in there, type of thing.
Yes.
So one of the reasons people don't start this business as well, as I was saying, for fear or take action, is because of fear they're going to fail, and fear they're going to get
Yes.
ripped off, fear
Yes.
mainly of what their friends and family are going to say. What
Yes.
would you say to these people?
That it's okay to feel the fear. It's okay to feel the fear. I felt the fear a couple years ago when I looked at this. I was not a social media person. I wasn't, didn't have a social media presence.
Mhm.
But what helped me to get past that fear, was a desire to really change where I was financially.
Right,
So if you have a strong enough, if you have a strong enough reason, it's okay to feel fear, right? Because it's a part of the human emotions, right? Even I even till today, sometimes I do go live. I come on social media. I still feel a bit of a fear before maybe I hit that go live button or whatever the case may be,
yeah,
right? But I push past that fear because it's just it's an illusion, right? False evidence appearing real is what the acronym that most people tend to associate with the word fear. It's a false evidence. We create this thing in our mind, this imagination in our mind that people are going to say something or all of these things, whatever the case may be, and so it stopped us, right? And so same thing, right? The fear of failure, it's just a natural. It's okay to feel that way. So it's totally normal. Nothing is wrong with it. It's okay to feel that way, right? But don't let that stop you from the life you imagine. Do not let that stop you from something that can turn out really, really beautiful, right? I would
right,
just say, feel the fear, but do it anyways. It's normal. Most of us, if not all of us in this online business community, started with that same fear. But I always talk about, just an environment, being in the right environment, surrounded by people who believes in you. Because in the beginning, maybe we don't have the belief system, but when
right.
you're in a community of where people are succeeding, and people, they
Like-minded people,
encourage you, and
yes.
they like-minded people, and they believe in you, you can start to borrow from their belief until you can believe for yourself, and before you know it, that fear, you look back, and you said, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful that, I started. I heard a lady in our online business community, she did a video. I think she's only 3 months or so. She's new to the business, but she said, hey, I was such an introvert. I was so afraid. But here I am. I am bold. I am doing this stuff. I'm so grateful for this community because now she was in an environment that fosters growth, right?
Mm.
So it's okay to people who are watching who feel afraid. It's okay. Start anyways, right? And come and be a part of the community. And the longer you submerge yourself or you're in that environment, you can get past that fear. Yeah.
Right. So was it last month or month before there was a convention? We had a convention in San Diego, and
Yes.
one of the speakers at the convention was Rob Dial. Rob
Yes.
Dial said that there are two types of fear: primal fear and intellectual fear. Now, with the
Mm.
primal fear, it has physical pain or death associated with it. So, for example, you won't go swimming in the ocean or down by the beach because you have a fear you're going to get eaten by a shark. You won't
Yes.
go traipsing through the forest because you don't want to get bitten by a snake. There's these bird eating spiders, and uh, all of them are realistic. If you live in Australia, all three of them is realistic because they got some man eating beast out there. So um, that's the primal fear. With the intellectual fear, that is something that most people have. The fear of being wrong, the fear of the unknown, the fear of starting something new, and
Yes.
ultimately this results in the fear of stepping out of your comfort zone or not wanting to step out of your comfort zone. And we all know that nothing truly grows in your comfort zone. So we have to turn that fear of what if I fail to, well, what if I succeed? So we have to
Yes.
flip that around and turn it on its head. So the last question I have for you, sir, because I didn't want to make this too long. What was the last question I had for you? There's a lot of shy people. That's it. There's a lot of shy people out there who want to start an online business, but are afraid of showing their faces or going live, or they said to themselves, I'm not tech savvy. But the same people who are not tech savvy, they have one of these, a mobile phone. If you can use a mobile phone, you're tech savvy.
Yes.
You are very, very tech
Yes.
savvy. So, I mean, can they still do this business? Can this business work for them?
Yes. Yes. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. All I always say to people, you just need to have a willingness to learn
Mhm.
something new. you know Shy, all of these things are, the skills that everyone has here are skills that are learnable. Maybe you're interviewing for a new job, right? And even though you have studied for it and you're in that field or whatever the case may be, you still felt a sense of shyness in the beginning, right? When you go there, it's new, right? You did the interview, you're nervous, you might start the job, and
Yeah.
even though you know what you're doing, you still have this shyness because you're worried about being judged or whatever the case may be. But with time and being there, you begin to become more comfortable, right? And now you do it on autopilot. You don't even think about it. It's the same thing here, right? You started shy because it's new to you. That's okay, right?
Yeah.
But all of the skills required are learnable. And so if you are somebody who has that willingness to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna learn this thing, right? I'm gonna learn this skill. I'm going to be coachable. I'm gonna be following the training. I'm gonna be listening to my coaches and my mentor. And I'm gonna seek the support of all of these people in this supportive community. There's no real reason why I don't believe that anyone can do this business. Whether you're shy, introverted, and I think majority of the population are introverted, are really shy, right? But it goes back to shy and I think fear. are kind of like, somewhat
Yeah, hand
related,
in
right? It
hand.
just, that's what
Yeah.
it kind of like, hand in hand, right? That's where it kind of goes back to, right? So it's just being able to say, hey, you know I want to do this thing. I'm unsure if I can do it. I'm a shy person, but I can learn. I want to learn.
Yes.
Jermaine, can you teach me? You know, uh, Andrew, can you teach me, kind of stuff, right? Like that, right? So it's just all about, having that willingness to really take that step, right? To take that
Yes.
step. And that's really that's what really what faith is, right? It's stepping out unsure, not really knowing, but rather trusting and believing, right? So, so for anybody who is watching, and you're saying this is the reason I'm shy, you know, you can definitely do this business. Just have a willingness to learn, be coachable, plug into the community, trust the system, more importantly, because the
Mm.
system works, right? And it can work for you as well.
Now we have a lot of people in our community. Every week we have this. We have a weekly mastermind where we all gather together and we learn and get a lot of information. And we have a lot of people every week. Every week I watch this and I hear announcements of people that have they scaled up, they've leveled up, and they've done this business without doing any ads, without showing their faces, and they
Yes.
are leveling up every week. So it is possible. We will teach you how to do faceless marketing. I've got
Yes.
an avatar out there. If you go across to my one of my YouTube sites, avatar, um, and he does all the talking for me. So these things can be
Yes.
taught to you. There are ways. There are ways as long as you have a willingness to learn and you are coachable. As long as you're
Yes.
coachable, anything is possible.
Yes.
But a lot
Anything is
of
possible.
people were brought up and raised in the fact that you have to just go to work, well, leave school, get a job, go to work, eat, sleep, repeat, eat, sleep, repeat, and
Yes.
there's no other options for them. My intention was to keep this short today, but I was watching your go live this morning. Um,
Yes.
what was your go live? Work harder on yourself. And you
Yes.
said something that it kind of hit home with me as to why the school's curriculum don't teach these kids how to become business entrepreneurs or business owners.
Yes.
And this is kind of the same thing of if they are taught when they are younger, when they leave
Yes.
school, they've already got this
Yes.
instilled in them. The school system wants you to go to college and go to university. And the reason they want you to do that is it's a business for them. So
Yes. Yes.
anybody who
Yes.
has a child that's gone to college or university, like I said in the beginning, my child went to university. It's not cheap. It is not cheap for a
Yes.
4-year university course.
Yes.
Back then, it was
Yes.
like $40,000, $50,000. So if you got
Yes.
two,
It's a
three
business.
kids, it's a business, And the first
Yeah.
year they want you to stay on campus. That's more money again. So it is
Yes.
a business for them. And then half of these kids, when they come out, and I think it's more than half, it's like three quarters. When they come out, they do
Yes.
not find a job in the profession that they study, in the field that they studied.
Yes.
So
Yes. And
it's,
most of them end up losing, most of them end up losing hope, because they said,
yes,
I've just invested so many years of my life doing this thing. I came out and I can't even get hired for it, because most companies are saying, we need people with experience, but we're saying, hey, how are we going to get these experience if you don't give us the chance? And you find depression, mental health,
yes,
because now maybe too they have a loan. Maybe too they took loans to invest
right,
into this opportunity, and now they can't even get a job to pay back for that loan. And so it's just a downward spiral from there, right?
right.
So it's really, really unfortunate that it's not, you're not given an option. Is
Mm,
come out and go look a job. There's no option of, hey, you can do something else. It's just this way, right? Because they understand, they ingrain that in you. You get your kids, you do the same thing with your kids, and it continues, right? And their business continues to grow, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's really, really, really unfortunate.
It,
But the ones like us who see it and decide to
yeah.
step outside of the box, sometimes we are shunned, we are looked down on, we think we're called crazy, we're called weird. People think that, who is Jermaine, who is Andrew, to think that they can break this cycle, of just, this limiting mindset to the abundance mindset. And so, they said, oh, they call you all of these things, they call you scammers, they call you, money hungry, whatever it is, but it's
Yeah.
never about the money. It's about what it can do, for others, for your generation. Is creating that new mindset in generations to come, and leaving behind a blessing, for your children as well.
Yes, you gotta have a strong enough why of why you are doing this. And
Yeah.
like and your whys can move after you've accomplished that why, you can move on to your next why. One
Yes.
of my whys was to help put my daughter through university. Tick, that's
Yes.
done. My next why now is for
Yes.
my retirement, because I know the money you're going to
Yes.
get from the government is not going to sustain. Or everybody who's become pensioners, whether it's here in Canada, whether it's in England or the United States, they are all saying that the pension is not enough for them to live on. So you got to start
Yes.
looking before you get to pensionable age to have that plan B, to say, okay,
Yes.
I could have something that is going to help supplement my income and help me keep up this lifestyle that I'm accustomed to living to. The lifestyle, it might
Yes.
not be rich and famous, but it could be something simple like just having the TV and having internet. When you become a
Yes.
pensioner and they're on the little piece of money that they're giving you, you might not be able to afford that no more. So
Yes.
this is uh, this is the way the world is going right now. Everything is a business, and they're just trying to keep you on that little rat race on the wheel type of thing.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
anyway, folks, that was it. I would like to thank my guest, Mr. Jermaine Lewis, for stopping by and blessing me with his presence and his knowledge.
Yes.
You have any parting words, Jermaine, before I do my closeout?
Yes, so as always, we like to leave with a call to action, for our viewers. So if our story resonated with you, if my story resonated with you, you can always reach out to Andrew. His website is there. You can always reach out to me as well. My website is there. That's the first step to really, get started, is to get the information, what it's all about. So of course, just visit any one of our website, register with your name and a valid email address to go watch a complimentary webinar. This is how we got started. This is how everybody in the community got started. And so if you also want to get started as well, just check out our website, register with your name and a valid email address. This way, we can stay in touch with you, to send you the necessary informations, that is necessary, to start this online business. All right. So thank you so much, Andrew, for having me on.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jermaine. Thank you. Thank you. So, like Jermaine said, if you're serious about making a change or just even a little bit curious to find out what we do, um, you've seen my email addresses and everything floating along the bottom. My website is www.andrewestwick.com, all one word. You could get my email, which is along the bottom as well, info@andrewestwick.com. My personal Facebook is facebook.com/Brit to Can. I have my um, business Facebook up there as well. I didn't put it on the ticker up below, but that'll be /potential dreams. And that'll be my Instagram, would be Brit to Can as well. And you could hop on to my YouTube page, which is just Andrew Estwick. And like Jermaine said, we'll send you a free webinar, complimentary webinar, which could ultimately change your life. And yes, it is free. It don't cost nothing to look at it. It is totally free. And if you like what you see, you come in. There is, if you want more information now, you're going to be paying a 149 USD dollars, which is totally refundable within 30 days. So if after 30 days and you don't like what it is, no questions asked, you get your money back.
Yes.
You'll also get, what is it, the 30 days, you'll also get access to our pre-coaching videos, book a coaching call with our coaches, and there's a lot more in there. You also get an invite to our amazing Facebook community group. Just mention my name,
Yes.
Andrew Estwick, and that will get you access. So remember this thing, that the things that scare us the most are often the things that set us free. So until next time, my friends, from Jermaine and myself, have a blessed week. God bless you all.
God bless everyone.